In this video, we'll have a look at section E of the lab, which are the muscles of the head and the neck. So let's have a look. As you can already see, there's quite a few muscles, and largely because things like facial expression, the relationship of the mouth and mastication, which is a fancy word for saying chewing, swallowing, etc. So there's quite a few muscles as you can already see. So let's start to work our way through some of them. Now, let's start with the frontalis. We can see that we're up here. Oh, hang on, let's just get this up here. We have the occipital frontalis muscle right up here. So the occipital frontalis is its larger name. Okay, so let's have a look at some others. Now the corrugator superciliary, this is a really tough one to see because it's a rather deep muscle, so we're not going to have quite a look at it right now, but have a look in your book and see if you can identify it. So let's move on to some others. Now as we move over here, we can start to see a number of muscles. And here is one, which is the zygomaticus. Zygomaticus. Now it makes sense because look where it is. It's attached onto the zygomatic process right there. So the zygomaticus. Now we go from there and we have the depressor anguli oris. Now this is a bit of a dead giveaway in terms of its name, because think what it's saying. It's depressor, so it's pulling down. The angle oris refers to mouth. So you can see it there, that of course it's bilateral, it's on both sides. So that is the depressor. Orbicularis oris. Now, think about orbicularis, orbital. Planets go around in an orbital. They go around in a circle. So we're looking for a muscle, and there's one below it. So we have the oris and the oculi. So we're looking for muscles that seem to make a circular pattern. And of course, we can see them here. So oris refers to talking, etc. A good orator is someone who speaks. So orbicularis oris. Now, not surprisingly, if we go up here, we see there's another circular muscle, and this orbicularis oculi. Now, the pterygoids are a little bit more difficult to see. We can see deep here, we have things like the buccinator, some of the other muscles. Some of these are not on your list. The levator anguli oris. So this is one that actually lifts. We saw the depressor, but this one is not on our list. So we're looking at the pterygoids. They're much more difficult to see, and we'll probably wait till we get to a lower level, and we'll take some of the tissue away here. Now, let's have a look at the buccinator. And we can see the buccinator. The buccal cavity is the inside of the cheek area. So buccinator is there. Then we have rhizorius. Now, don't forget, on these programs, you do have a search feature. And most of them do have a search feature where you just simply type in the name. So let's give it a try. Let's see. And there we go. And certainly it does come up, and you can see it right there, the rhizorius. Very small muscle. And it pulls the angle of the mouth laterally. So you can see there's a lot of muscles associated with the mouth. We saw the depressor, the one that lifts the mouth, the one that pulls the corner of the lip down, or the mouth down. And we can also see that we have the rhizorius here. Now, let's go to some of the other ones. We have platysma. Platysma is an interesting one. This is a platysma. You can see it bilaterally here. It's a very thin, almost sheet-like muscle, and it covers up many of the structures in the neck. And you can see its distribution runs from over here, the deltoid, all the way to actually inferior to the clavicle. And let's isolate it, and you can really see its extent. So it's not a thick muscle, it's very thin, almost paper thin, but it does cover a lot of that front part of the neck. Now, we get into some more. Things like the masseter. The masseter muscle. Mastication is chewing, so that's a bit of a clue. You can see the masseter muscle right there at the side. Not to be confused with the buccinator. Remember, the buccinator was a deeper muscle that is much more associated with the inside of the cheek, just deep to the inside of the cheek. And here's once again, that's the masseter right there. And then we go up here to the temporalis. Temporalis, you can see very broad muscle. And let's isolate it so you can really see it. You can see that it's attached onto the mandible. And it comes up and it has a very broad attachment and certainly has a role in terms of things like chewing and the movement of the jaw. Okay, we have the levator palpebrae. It's much smaller, and we're going to leave that one for now. It's very difficult to actually see in almost all the models. And then let's return to our diagrams here. And we can start to look around the nose, how many muscles there are. We have things like here's one of the levators. Levator means to lift up. You can see there's levator labri superius right there. But over here we can see here is part of the nasalis, and that is one of the ones we're looking for. Now, the genioglossus is once again, another tough one to see. And it's much deeper, as is the digastric. The digastric, we actually would have to look inside, and let's see if we can actually see it from just this angle here. So let's hide that, and let's see if we can get into here. So here you can see parts of the digastric right there. You can see very small muscle deep within the jaw. And then the last one to have a quick look at would be the sternocleidomastoid. Now this one tells you everything you need to know about it as to where it's attached. Sterno for sternum, cleido for clavicle, and also mastoid for mastoid process. So let's isolate it and have a look. And you can see that that is exactly where it attaches. Up here onto the mastoid process, which was one of the bony features we were looking at. Down here you can see part of it is associated with the clavicle, and you can see that this head here is heading to the sternum, part of the sternum. So let's back up and let's put it back into its relative context. So that's a quick run through, just to give you some idea where these muscles are. So when you get into your muscle list and you start looking, this will at least give you some foundation as to where to start to look for these muscles. Now remember, you really have to spend time. Now when you're looking at muscles, really think about where is it coming from, where is it going to, who's it next to, and if you sort of get the idea of the territory and its directions of fibers and where it starts and it finishes and what's next to it or what's above it or what's below it, that really gives you that solid foundation that no matter what model you're looking at, you'll be able to identify it. And we often do this in the world of anatomy. We do it based on relationships. Where is it coming from? Where is it going to? What's above? What's below? What's in front? What's back? What's running underneath it? What's crossing it? Etc. Okay, so that's a quick run through. And remember, this takes time and it takes repetition. So keep working at it.